I'm gonna predict the future for you. And in the future, I see higher home prices, higher rental prices, and a fewer percentage of Americans that actually own homes. All right, so you can check back in about 10 years and see if I'm on track with my prediction, but I'm gonna tell you where these numbers come from. The history of the housing market, home prices have increased. They have increased decade over decade on average. And rental prices have also increased. They're currently increasing usually somewhere in the range of 2 to 5% year over year. Now, the percentage of Americans, fewer percentage of Americans owning homes, there are a few things that could play into that. One being the higher home prices, which are outpacing wage earning in this country. So people are not earning a wage that's able to keep up with what it would cost to pay a mortgage for a home that they would have been able to afford 10 years ago. So that's part of where that comes from. The other part of why I think there may be a fewer percentage of people that are actually owning homes is because there are a lot more people that have pushed off home owning. They have decided to delay home owning in place of going after a job or going after a career. Some people just want to stay more mobile. They don't want to purchase a home and get locked down to one particular location. So instead they decide to not purchase a home, just rent where they are in the meantime. And when they decide they want to go live in another city or another state, another country even, they just pick up and leave, and they don't have to worry about whether they want to rent their house, sell their house, find a property manager, or find a real estate agent to sell it for them. They don't want to go through all of that hassle. They just want to be able to pick up and leave. And so that's another part of that third factor with fewer percentage of people that are actually going to be owning homes. But I believe that all three of those things are going to be true as we go further and further into the future. So everything you're hearing right now about the homeownership crisis, the housing crisis, everything that you're hearing about, you know, the government's going to be doing more to help more first-time home buyers with down payment assistance, and, you know, we're increasing inventory and everything. All of that is great, and I'm not saying that's not going to happen. What I'm saying that is in the long run, in the, you know, mid future, distant future, I don't foresee much of that mattering to the scale that it's being amplified right now in the media and everything. I don't think that we're gonna go backwards with home prices to where, oh, we put a whole lot more affordable houses and now home prices are at 200,000. At least not for the same type of home. Maybe you're buying a tiny home, or maybe you're buying a container home. Maybe you're buying something that's of a much cheaper quality, but of the type homes that they currently build today, those type homes are not gonna magically just be for sale for $200,000 in the future when they're $400,000 today. I don't see that happening just because of a boost in inventory or whatever. There's just too many factors at play with the cost of labor, the cost of materials, taxes, everything else. I just don't see us going backwards. I think everything's gonna continue to get more expensive. I think fewer and fewer people are going to be homeowners moving forward into the future. But that is not what I want to specifically focus on with this episode. I want to start there by laying the foundation to move into what I want to focus on, which is what that means for you as someone who is looking to purchase a home in the near future. What I believe that means for you is that you need to spend your time when you're looking to purchase a home, not focusing so much on what you want in a home. Focus on what someone else is going to see in this potential home that you might buy that would make them want to rent this home from you, or would make them want to purchase this home from you. That's what I think many home buyers are missing when they are going to purchase a home. Most people are looking, oh, I don't like this house. I don't like this area. I don't want to be in this neighborhood. I don't like this school zone, whatever it might be. But don't purchase it with the mindset of what you like in everything. Purchase it with the mindset of, when I get ready to sell this, when I get ready to rent this out, is someone else going to see value in this home that's going to make them pay well more than what I paid for this home? Is someone else going to see value in this home that's going to make them want to rent it for a high enough price that will just about cover my mortgage, if not cover my mortgage and pay me a little bit extra on top of that? Those are the things that you need to be focusing on, because that's in all likelihood going to be the scenario when you go to purchase a home, particularly if you're a first-time home buyer. The first home that you purchase is not going to be your forever home. You may live in it for 5 years or 7 years or 3 years or 10 years even, but it's not going to be your forever home. And at some point you want to get a home that is going to have some value, that is producing down the road. So for example, knowing that it's not going to be your first home, you want to get as much benefit from it as you can. Now, you do want to purchase a home that's going to suit your needs and be comfortable for you. However, when you are thinking about purchasing that home, you want to look at a few key things. One of the things that you want to look at is the area that you're purchasing in. Is this an area that I'm able to rent this property in? For example, you don't want to purchase a home in a homeowners association that prohibits you from renting your home, because now that only leaves you the option of selling it. And now you're just hoping that the value of homes go up between when you purchase it and when you sell, so that you can purchase at a profit and make a bunch of money on when you sell, so that you can sell at a huge profit and make a bunch of money when you sell that home. So you want to first look at the area in which you're purchasing. Is it an area that will sustain you being able to rent this home? What are rental prices like in this area? What are other homes similar to the one that you're thinking about purchasing, renting for? And is that amount that they're renting for going to be enough to cover your proposed mortgage payment? If your proposed mortgage payment is going to be $2,500 and properties in that neighborhood are renting for $2,000 or $2,200, that's not bad, because rent is going to continue to increase over the years. You're going to be living in this property for at least probably the next 4 or 5 years. So while you're living there, if you're comfortable paying the $2,500, pay the $2,500. And when you get ready to rent this property out 5 years from now, 7 years from now, whatever it may be, rent has caught up to what your mortgage is. Your mortgage is still, your principal and interest still stays the same. So if your mortgage is $2,500, it's still close to that $2,500 mark. But rent is no longer at that $2,000 mark anymore. Rent might be at $2,300, $2,400, or $2,500. So now you can rent this thing out for what the mortgage is, and your renters are now putting the equity in your home rather than you having to be the one that's putting the equity in your home. So that's one of the things you want to look at is, what are other properties renting for in the area? Are you able to rent this thing, and for how much? And is it going to be enough to cover the mortgage in the future? It doesn't have to be enough to cover the mortgage today, but is it likely that if that rental amount were to increase 2 to 5% year over year, would it be close to being able to cover the mortgage 5 years from now or 7 years from now? Look at it from that vantage point. So another thing that you want to look at is what other developments are going on in the area that are going to increase the value of the homes that are also in that area. Is there a new amphitheater that's being built in the area? Is there a new shopping plex that's being built, or a mall, or whatever that's being built in the area that's going to attract a lot of people? Maybe it's new restaurants or entertainment or whatever it is, but you want to look at what the developments are going around in the city. Maybe there's a new park or some new bike trails, which is going to make the city more walkable or the area a little bit more commutable. Those are some of the things that you want to look into. Are other jobs coming into the city? Are companies looking at putting headquarters there, or are they building up distribution centers there? Are they building up factories there? What is happening in the city, and what's going to be the effect that those things are going to have on home prices? Because that's something that could be an incentive for you to purchase in a particular area, even though it might not be number one on your personal list. It might end up being a home that would be great to own 5, 10, 20 years from now, when these developments have come to fruition, because now that home that you purchased today for $300 might be worth $500,000 15 years from now. And now you're looking at a $200,000 increase. But let's say that you're renting it out for part of that time too. Your renters have been paying the mortgage, putting money in your pocket while you're property is growing in equity so that 10, 15 years from now, you've got $200,000 that you can just pull out of your property in equity, or you could sell the home and just cash out on it and take that money and go do something else with it. But in any case, the next 10 or 15 years, they're going to go by whether you do something great or whether you do something mediocre. So you might as well start planning now to do something great so that 10, 15 years from now, you can have a couple $100,000 just sitting in your bank account and you can go do some awesome things rather than just doing some mediocre things. The same 10 or 15 years goes by and you're still sitting here, in the same situation of where you are now in life. So those are some of the things that you want to look at. You want to look at the rental rates, the area, making sure that is rent increasing in the area? Is it decreasing? What's getting built in the area? Future developments that might be happening in the area, companies that are moving into the area. But you also want to look at the population of an area as well. The percentage of the population that is renting versus owning. You want to look at the average annual income of the population, because that's also going to be an indicator of whether or not this is an area that people can actually afford to rent properties for what you might need to rent it for in order to cover your mortgage if you're looking at purchasing a home there. Is it an area where the population is declining, meaning people are moving away from that city and they're moving toward another city? That might be an indicator that, rents might not be going up at all or for much longer in that area. They might be declining a little bit if you're in a city that is declining, meaning it's not desirable. People are not wanting to be there or live there. So those are some of the things that you want to look at as well, is just the population and the people that live there, so that it'll give you an indication of who you're dealing with. Obviously, there's things like, the school systems. You'll want to look at the school systems because, if you are trying to rent out a home that is a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, or a 4-bed or whatever, you're probably marketing that more toward a family. And families are looking to be in areas where there are good school systems. So that's something that you also would want to consider. So there are a lot of things you want to consider. But notice one of the things that I did not, or a lot of things that I did not mention, but one of those things was not, how big is the walk-in closet? I did not mention anything about how the master bathroom looked, or, did the kitchen have granite countertops? Those are all things that after you own a property, if you want to renovate the kitchen and put granite countertops in, go put granite countertops in. That should not be a decision that you're basing your purchasing on. If, you want to renovate the bathroom and make it bigger, then go renovate the bathroom and make it how you want to make it. Maybe you need to take out a wall or whatever. But what's more important is the location of where you're purchasing, because location, a mediocre property that's located in a great area, a class A area, is going to do much better. It's going to sell for much more. It's going to rent for much more. It's going to be more profitable to own that property, a mediocre property in a great area, rather than a great property in a mediocre area. So location should be the number one thing that you're considering. But then all those other things, future developments, which also play into the location, but the people, where they're moving to, are they staying? Is it growing in the city, or is it, are people moving out? All of that stuff. These are things that you should be considering when you're looking at potentially purchasing a home. What you want does matter, but when you're purchasing your first home, it's not what matters most. I believe that where you should put most of your focus is on the future potential value of that home. If you're the type of person that's not wanting to take on an investment property, you don't want to rent a property, then okay, you still need to put your focus on the future potential value of that home. And everything I mentioned still applies, because those are things that can increase the value of a property, which means that the home that you're purchasing now, maybe when you get ready to sell that in 2 years, or in 10 years, 8 years, 7 years, 5 years, 15 years, whenever you get ready to sell it in the future, you can walk away with a couple $100,000 rather than selling it and breaking even, or selling it and only putting 30, 40,000 in your pocket. If you can walk away with 150, 200,000 in your pocket, that's going to put you in a much better position. So that's what I want to leave you with. That's what I have for this episode. Hopefully it is hugely beneficial and gives you some things to think about if you are in the market looking to purchase a home, or if you are, at some point within the next year or two, considering becoming a homeowner. Focus on the future value of that home, because 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, that's where you're going to be making your money, is on the future value of that home. So thank you for taking the time to tune in. Take care. Be blessed. We'll see you in the next episode.